never, ever stop learning. Everything comes down to respect, doesn't it? 5 years, I didn't watch the AFL at all.
Ready for this?
Ready to roll?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Prime Potty. I'm honoured today to be joined by the great man, Nick Russian. Bit of a Melbourne superstar, I would say, since moving down here. You've kind of been everywhere for me, but mate, it's great to have you on the potty. How are you?
Thank you, mate. It's a pleasure to be here and probably officially the oldest person ever on your show, mate. So thank you. Is that an honour or is it? I don't know. Where do I start?
Well, mate, I think you've got some great tips for all the listeners out there. You know, we've got all types of ages and all types of people from different walks of life listen to this potty. And I think that you've got some great tips for all of them. But I'd just love you to give us a bit of an elevator pitch, 15 to 30 seconds. Who are you? What do you do? Just for everyone out there listening, because they might not know.
My name's Nick Russian. There's a start. I've been involved in business, self-employed for pretty much my entire life. I'm 43. Jesus Christ, can't believe you said that.
I'm 23, so you got me by 20.
I'm 44 this year, so holding on to the last couple of months. I've been involved in the hospitality scene, modelling scene, sports scene, but predominantly well known for my involvement in hospitality over the last sort of 25 odd years. I've owned a number of bars, nightclubs, restaurant type spaces that have all been successful, touch wood, thankfully. And, you know, during that time, I've been lucky enough to meet some great people, including yourself.
Thank you.
That's me in a nutshell.
In
I'm
a
a dad.
nutshell.
Anyway, I won't keep boring on. You said 15
I
seconds.
said 15 to 30.
That's 15 minutes.
No, you've done a
Over
very
here.
good job. Sometimes, I say 15 to 30 and people could talk for hours about themselves.
Yeah,
I'm the same. I'm
Such
the
a good
same.
topic. Huh?
I'm not a very good host because sometimes I just start talking about myself, which doesn't help. But look, mate, you kind of started your journey a long time ago when you kind of played AFL, which is probably forgotten from a lot of people. I was talking to Louis Phillips, our great friend, the other day, and he had obviously no idea. It was a long time ago.
Yep.
You got drafted when you were 18. Can you talk me through a bit of that?
Okay, so look, I guess back then it was a different time in sports. So I wasn't officially drafted. What there was back then was things called sup lists and top up lists and everything. So basically, if you weren't good enough to be playing a senior game of football, you went onto a top-up list or a sub-list, you know. So I played a lot of football. I played with the Oakley Chargers in the under-18 competition. What's it called now? The TAC Cup.
TAC Cup or the NAB League, I think.
The VSFL back then. And played in the under-18 since I was 15 and made some great friends and everything. My last year as a top-age player, I broke my back. So ended up missing out on being properly drafted. Back then, there wasn't a VFL. There was the VFA back then, and then there was the AFL, and the AFL had a 2 system as well, which was the seconds, you know, the Magoo.
Right. The Magoos.
The Magoos.
Where I spend a lot of my time.
Yeah, we're all familiar with that. And played with a handful of different clubs, but never cracked the senior game, unfortunately. But the best thing about playing elite sport was how much you learnt during that time. You know, you made some great contacts, but you learned so much about regimentation. You learnt about being organised. You learned about mateship. You learnt about so much, and you know they're really great rules and lessons. To set you up for your life. So,
I think that's such a important thing. Like a lot of the time when I look for employers for my business, I'm like, have you played team sport? Because it actually teaches you a lot about how to communicate, how to work in a team, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, you asked me before off air, you know, what do you look for in different staff? You really do. You look at people who can join the team, who can really be part of it,
who've been involved
integrate.
in a team, previously.
Yeah. So it's just such an important. You learn so much from being involved with team sports, and now, as I said before, I've got a couple of kids. You know, they're playing their team sports, and you know, they're loving just being part of another community as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess having a family is kind of like being in a team as well, right?
It is.
Like, you know, you've got you've obviously got a beautiful wife, you've got 2 kids. It's kind of just like being able to navigate through their feelings and emotions and all succeed.
Yeah, you do. You all have to work together. My wife's very busy with her work. I'm very busy with my work. And, again, there's sacrifices you make for each other to ensure that she continued to do well with everything she's doing at the same time as being a good mum, and vice versa. And, I'm very lucky. She's a beautiful mum and a beautiful wife. And, we continue to navigate our way through the years. 16 years later.
16 years
later.
wow.
A long time, isn't it?
Shout out to her. Obviously, she's a big fan of the potty. I know she listens every week. So
she loves it. She loves it. She said to say hello. Yeah.
I know she loves it. Let's rewind a bit. You said that you broke your back.
Yep.
What age was that?
17. I had stress fractures in my back.
So was that from overwork?
Yes, it was. So it wasn't an impact injury. It was a wear and tear, overuse. And back then, AFL and the under-18 competition, everything was new. Or sorry, the AFL wasn't new, but the professionalism of it was. And our bodies were just trained too hard, really, for the young kids. And on top of that, I've always been a hard worker, the same as I am today with my business. Whatever we were doing training-wise, I was doing extra on my other days as well. So, just too much wear and tear on the body, and then, just the ongoing impact, being an in and under player, mate. Mate,
I would have no idea what you're talking about. Stick to the outside where I can get some of the ball.
The impact on the body sort of broke down over time. So you'd be getting out of bed I'm trying to remember, was it 16, 17, whatever it was, young. Getting out of bed like an absolute cripple. And I remember going to see the specialist at the time, and he said, you need to have the last 12 months off, or you're probably going to you won't be able to walk when you're older. But I do believe that they're always
always
cautious.
go the worst, right?
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Of course they do.
How was that for you, dealing with them saying, you can't train for 12 months?
Devastating. And in particular because back then you could only be drafted as an 18-year-old, and also back then it was sort of the mindset of, if you weren't drafted as an 18-year-old, you're done, right? You were done.
Yeah.
You were done. There was no pathway for you to go after playing. Or after playing in the under-18s, there was no pathway at all. You'd very rarely hear of a 22 or a 23-year-old kid getting drafted.
Yeah, right.
So it was devastating, and I pretty much knew there and then that, well, whatever my hopes were, it was done. But I had a couple of opportunities. Did a pre-season with Collingwood, played some twos games with Sydney Swans and also Essendon, and then I remember the recruiting manager from Richmond at the time asked me to go for a rookie list position, and by then I think I was about 21, and I said, no, I've had a gutful of it. And
so you said you were done at 21.
Yeah. So I hung up the boots. So.
What was the mindset behind that? Because, things are very different these days with the way that footy works. I've had Matt Guelphy, I've had Bo McCreary and Josh Carmichael on the podcast the last couple of weeks, and they're all really good examples. They've all missed at least 2 drafts and then got drafted, right?
Good
so they're 20 by the time that they get drafted. It's a very similar age to you.
Yep.
How many, changes have you seen in the way that the AFL landscape has moved over the past 20 years?
Yeah, well, that's a key one. That's number one, because, as I said, back then, if you weren't drafted at the age of 18, you were done. You were absolutely done. It was to say you're absolutely done's a bit harsh, but 99.9% of people, you missed out. Yeah. So that's, and I remember thinking back then as well, you look at other sports and blokes' bodies fully mature at that sort of 24, 25-year-old. I used to think to myself, geez, I reckon it's a real strange game that they don't pick up more mature players.
Yeah, it is something that I always think about, especially if you're in that premiership kind of run.
Yep.
And I think that Collingwood's probably set the example. They went out and got Joe Richards from Ovens and Murray, who's 23, 24, just a school teacher.
Yep.
But if you're trying to make a premiership run, then why don't you get these mature bodies that are ready to go out and actually play
100%. That's what I said to you the other week. Like, you're a mature bloke now. What are you,
23?
23. Yeah. And the other thing is confidence as well as a person. As you're still learning life when you're 18, 19, 20. As much as you're probably a confident kid, I was definitely a confident kid as well. Not a bit too confident, but you as you're maturing, and by that time you're 23, you know who you are. So I really feel as though that's a prime time to be picking a good kid.
Very smooth. Yeah. Well, I touch on it sometimes, and I always think, should the draft age be raised and make it older? Because that's something that, when I was 18, maybe you as well, I just wasn't in a position. My body wasn't in a position.
Yep.
But then you look at people like Dacos and that are in a position to get drafted, and it's like maybe what you said. You just need to be more free to pick people that are a little bit older as well.
Absolutely, because there's young, like Timmy Watson. I think he was 15 or something when he debuted. You know, so. So there's going to be some freaks out there who they're ready, get them out there and play.
100%.
So maybe not necessarily, increase the draft age limit, but I do believe that the development system needs to allow for some older players.
Connections through footy. It's a massive part of everyone's life. You only really know if you do play a team sport how close you become to your mates that you play with. How beneficial was that for you, for your business, etc.?
It was everything, really. Yeah, it was everything. So playing sports, you play in your junior level, then you go into like a development squad or something, then you go to a district, then you go to an under-18 competition.
You meet so many people.
You meet so many people and so many mates. And as long as you're not a dickhead, you end up becoming really good friends with them. And the best thing about sports clubs is, and I'll say it time and time again, it stops you from being a dickhead. If you're carrying on in a particular way and you're with a good bunch of people or blokes, as you are when you're playing, when we're playing, you get pulled up. You get pulled up, don't you? So that's the best thing about sports. Again, pull your head in, you're acting and people will carry on. So providing you're not a goose, you'll make some great friends. And I made some fantastic friends over the years from footy, basketball, every sport. And off the back of that, it's helped my contacts in, with my business today. Working in hospitality, it's, you need to create your product, and then the people are such an integral part of your business as well. And I say it all the time, like, social influencers have been a thing forever. Yeah. Today, there's a social influencer platform in Instagram or TikTok or whatever it might be, so people can now monetize that. But forever, there's always been socially influential people. If you go to the local football club, the captain there, he's socially influential to his community, right? And then you go to another area. So for me, I always had good contacts with people who were, I played football with, who were looked up to. And then when I was running my bars and clubs and whatnot, I'd have this group of influential footballers there, and then
they might not have 100,000 followers or something, right? Like, you don't have to have. No. There's some influential people that are just influential. Like,
absolutely.
They don't have to have this massive social following. They just people just follow them.
Absolutely. And then I'd have pockets of people. I sound like a wanker talking about myself here, but you're asking the question, so I'll answer.
Hey, you don't. You're on a podcast with me.
Once upon a time, I had hair like you, so I was actually modelling when I was younger as well. So then you put those models into that room, those footballers and people into the room, and then because I'd been working at bars and different things as well, I'd met different social people from there, and you put them all into this one pot. And it worked out that they all just gelled. And then over the course of time, you've refined your product for that group of people. Over time, he's seen her out and about a number of times. He's seen him out a number of times, and so on. And then everyone sort of becomes friend over time. You're building that community. And off the back of that, we've built our following, and people then know that they feel comfortable to come to our venues. They know they're going to see familiar faces. They know they're going to feel comfortable. They know they're not going to see dickheads. So these are the different things that come about. It's
an interesting thing, kind of going from like a little bit of footy and a little bit of sport into just being this nightclub mogul, I guess, is what you kind of end up becoming. And then you end up going on a television show.
On a TV show, yeah. I've said it time ago. I was the pioneer of bad reality TV shows, so very lucky there. Very lucky. I did. It
was called Temptation Island. It was in 2002,
Geez,
which
is your research,
21 years ago.
Were you born then?
I was born in 99, so I would have been 3 when you were on Temptation Island with your girlfriend.
Yeah. It was big in the 90s, I was. So, it was a... shocking show. But no.
Well, only got run for one season.
They got one season. They couldn't get any better after that. They couldn't get any better after that. Yeah, they reached the pinnacle. Look, do you know what? It was at the time, I think Big Brother had been on, and that was huge. And then there was Temptation Island, and it was huge for its time. I don't know why it never got another run. It mustn't have been big enough. Maybe I thought it was huge and no one else. But again, off the back of that, I made some good friends. Off the back of that, I made different media contacts. Off the back of that, again, you know, it's another feather in your bow. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, there's him. He's a sports person. Oh, that's him. He was on that TV show. Oh, there's that. He did that modelling. Or that's him. You know what I mean?
It's massive for your personal brand
so
as well.
So it's continually adding layers to your brand.
Right.
And again, providing you don't make a goose of yourself again while you're on TV, which plenty of people do.
Yes.
And people often say, oh, it was edited so badly or whatever. Waiting for you to edit this, by the way, right? It was edited so badly. I never said that. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. You know, providing you still hold yourself with dignity and don't make a goose of yourself, then people will see you for who you actually are. And it should help you rather than the opposite.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing going on a TV show, but it's something that you have to kind of do to put yourself out there. And were you ever nervous about like everything that you're doing is being watched by a camera?
Absolutely.
But did that set you up for your life? Because technically, like, you know, you've got a lot of cameras and stuff on you nowadays, and you have to feel comfortable with that kind of exposure.
It's a great learning curve. It is a great learning curve. The first time I remember, you know, they're interviewing you, you know, so, you know, what do you think about your girlfriend in bed with that other guy? Like, this is a good question. It was a great show. Don't know why I never married that one. You know, and then you have to. I think you just answer. They go, no, please repeat the question in your answer. You know, so there was a lot of you learned a lot about dealing with media. You learned a lot about dealing with cameras, and same as anything, it's all about practice. And you become more confident, and you get better at dealing with circumstance.
I did some more research on your time on Temptation Island, and I got to that you got a bit crook in the first couple of days of filming, like very crook. And you're in Fiji, I believe.
Mate, how did you find all this?
Oh, mate,
I don't think the internet was even around back then, was it?
I'm a bloody good researcher for these type of things.
Very impressed.
And I also heard that in those days you just have as many beers as you wanted on these TV shows. Was that
up.
you just getting a bit of liquor courage?
No,
it wasn't.
You
just got hungover for a couple of days.
What happened is we, our entire island got food poisoning. Yeah,
that's what they say.
No, food poisoning. So what happened is they separated the boys and your girlfriend of the time and yourself. So the couples would go over. Your girlfriend's on that island. You're over that island.
Did you stay together?
Yeah, we did. But anyway, for 10 seconds.
Yeah, got to be careful.
And anyway, they send all these other guys over to your girlfriend's island to try and tempt her, and then a whole heap of girls over to your island to try and tempt you. And anyway, all of a sudden, I started feeling crook after a couple of nights, and I'm like violently ill. Anyway, because they film everything being a reality show, they're filming me just absolutely dying there, right? Anyway, I can still remember it. While I'm sick, I'm telling them, go and get fucked, you know. The cameraman starts getting crook. Then the cameraman starts spewing. Then the producer starts spewing. So all of a sudden, the entire island, everyone's double ending, right? Everyone.
So did they have to put a pause to the filming?
They paused filming. Okay. Yeah, so for a couple of days. So I ended up on a drip in hospital. Yeah. So everyone just copped the most horrendous food poisoning of all time. So that was a good little touch. So I
That
was
is
worrying, oh my
hilarious.
God, they're gonna show me drinking a beer, and then next they're gonna be filming me doing this.
Badly
But yeah,
edited.
badly edited. So it was nothing to do with drinking. It was genuine food poisoning, and the entire island got wiped out. So
That is absolutely
There you go.
hilarious. That's
There
a
you
very
go.
funny story.
There
I
you
did.
go.
Yeah, I did a bit of reading about it. You know,
Yeah.
I love my research sort of stuff.
Very
So
impressed.
yeah, no, I
Very
have to
impressed.
do dig pretty deep.
Yeah.
And then that helped you a little bit, kind of start your hospitality, your nightclub branding and scene. I think you were already doing some stuff with nightclubs.
Yeah,
anyway.
I was already doing stuff prior to that,
Right.
and I'd played football prior to that.
You're doing modelling as well.
Yeah, I was doing quite a bit back then, and yeah, it all helped enhance your profile. And again, there was no Instagram, there was no
Right.
social media, there was the media outlets back then were Channel 7, Channel 10 and Channel 9. They were the three channels. So you're having millions of people watching you overnight. Whereas today, the kids will be watching the laptop or watching their phone or a Netflix. You know what I mean? There's so many different offerings. Back then, it was these are the three things. You come home from school and, all right, cool, that's what I'm watching. Eat your dinner and you had no other option. Or SBS, you know, it wasn't quite the same thing.
That is hilarious.
Yes, it was a different
Yeah, you
world.
do forget it that, like, that was even before you had Foxtel. And
No Foxtel. No
Foxtel or anything.
Foxtel. Like the internet wasn't really a
you
thing.
barely even had phones.
Yeah, no, God no. There was no iPhone. It was your phone. I don't think Snake was even invented back then. You know,
they would have had Snake.
Mate, I'm telling you, it was. This was before. Yeah, so the old Nokias.
That's
It was
crazy.
another world.
That is absolutely crazy. It's that's beyond the way that I kind of grew up.
Yeah.
With everything.
Yep.
But yeah, it is a very long time
It is.
ago.
It was a different world, and the same as I looked at my parents. It's a different world, and when you have kids, something else will evolve further as well, and it'll be a different world again. And trends continue to change.
Right.
Pop culture continues to change. And yeah, it was a different way of life.
We're actually very, very lucky these days that we do have platforms such as Instagram, you know, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is, because there are so many other avenues for you to go to actually become that person of influence. Like without TikTok and Instagram, I wouldn't have become who I was, right?
Yep.
So back in your day, you know, it's impressive that you will be able to kind of get out of that and become a really influential person when there's not that many avenues to become it.
It was about getting out and seeing people and having a chat with people and being at functions and being at bars and being at the right spots
Right.
and associating with lots of different people. And it was never a deliberate action. I've always got along well with people, thankfully. And off the back of getting along well with people, and you know, I'm always never shy for a chat. You've built rapport with people, and you know, when you call them and say, back then, promoting or getting people to your bars and clubs and things, I remember
Envelope.
the first time I ever did it, I was at mum and dad's house. I was picking up the old phone, making calls. I'd have my literally your old black book, and you'd go through every single person and, hey, mate, how you been? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. You know, what do you know? Let's get all the boys together from cool, see you there. Right,
Bloody
then the
oath.
next person, then the next person, and then you'd go for a walk down Chapel Street, and then you'd bump into people, and you'd hand out a flyer, or you'd...
It helps if you've always been to Melbourne as well, doesn't it? Because
100%.
you get to really build that rapport between people.
100%. So even still today, I have different friends who I went to school with who come down to Bambi, you know.
Yeah, of course.
People who I've known for 30, 40 years.
How rewarding is it for you? You know, I just did something the other day where I got to, for kind of the first time ever in my business, I was able to send a whole heap of merch to like a lot of my old friends from school and like from college. And it was like the first time that I've kind of been in the position to be like, you know what, I've got all this merch. Like I want to give you guys some before it's kind of come out. How rewarding is that for you when you get like your schoolmates and stuff and you get to like look after them with a dinner at Bambi? Like,
Mate, I love it.
How awesome does it feel?
I love it. You know, like there's things about everybody's work that you like and dislike. I truly believe everybody's work. There's moments that you hate and love. And one of the moments that I do love is when, you know, you walk into the venue and all of a sudden you bump into an old friend or whatever it might be, and
hey, I'll buy you a drink.
And you have a good night with them. You know, it's how good's this? You're catching up with the old mates while you're working, and it's great. You know, but then again, there's also some times that give you the shits as well.
You don't want to see them. Well, they come around too much, like me.
Yeah.
Mate, you've had enough dinners, I reckon.
Yeah.
Time for you to get out of here.
That's had enough. Hit the showers.
You you had a big kind of influence on Boutique and Eve, which were obviously, I've only been here for 3 or 4 months, so I'm pretty new to the scene. But from what I've heard, they were pretty crazy places.
Yeah, they were great places, and of their time, again, that's where all the socially influential people went of their time, you know. So first club I ever owned was a place called Aqua Bar. I was a minor shareholder, and then off the back of that, I had Boutique. Again, I was a minor shareholder there, but I'd started it from scratch with my partner at the time, and built it up, and then sold out of there, and then I started Eve, and where I was the.
Did you do Eve by yourself?
Myself,
that was with a group.
Myself, my brother, and Chris Judd. So,
yeah, beautiful. All look the same as well.
Mate, you got to join the crew, mate. You got to join the team. Three eggheads.
3 eggheads. I might be next.
Yeah. So it was just the three of us, and we had I was the controlling shareholder, doing things how I wanted to do it, and we had some great times. We made some great money, made some great friends, and at the end of it all, sold the business and all remain great friends. Still great friends with everybody from who we met over there during that time as well. Had it for 10 years. And then, then started Bambi, however long ago it was now. We've been open for 18 months, I think.
Yep.
We get a lot of people who used to come to our old nightclubs. Now they're older, and now they've got a kid, or they're divorced, or
it's a really diverse crowd, Bambi, because you've kind of got the older crew. Yeah, I don't want to say older.
Yeah, you do.
There are.
I didn't want to say that. There's the old, the middle, the young.
Right, exactly. And, it's a great way to kind of connect with different people that are in different walks of life, and I love going there. I think it's one of the premier places in Melbourne to go.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. And look, and it's I've always believed that it's not about an age; it's about a mindset.
Right.
So when I was 43 now, I still think the same as I did when I was 23. You know what I mean? It's probably about, I don't know if that's
probably
a good
not.
thing. But again, when I was 23, I liked knocking about with older people as well. But it was always the same sort of mindset of what you like and what you're into. And and again, so it's not about the age, it's about where the person's mindset's at. And, everybody seems to blend in well, a mixture of all ages.
Yeah, I think that it's a really important thing, especially for anyone out there that's a bit younger listening, to be able to be comfortable to connect with different people from different age groups, because it can be so beneficial for your business, your brand, or just you as a person.
And knowledge, just general knowledge. I remember when I was younger, when I was younger, I used to pick a lot of older people's brains, pick their brain. Still today I do, but I now pick the brains more so of the younger kids now. I really do. It's like, okay, well, the next generation coming through, that's your future clientele. What is it that's going on in their brain? What's pop culture for them? What is it that they're really interested in? What makes them tick? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? And so you never, ever stop learning, ever.
Speaking of little nuggets of kind of habits and lessons that you've learned, what are 3 lessons that you felt like you learnt from your 10 years working the nightclub scene from when you opened Bambi?
Yep. The 3 things you said?
Yeah,
that I've learned in the last...
learned in the last... Before Bambi that you really said, when I opened Bar Bambi, these are the 3 things that I've kind of learnt that I'm going to really implement into this business.
Yeah. You need to be sure of what your product is. Mm-hmm. You really need to be sure of what your product is.
And what is that with Bambi?
Okay, here we go. Bambi, and I was about to say that.
Are you allowed to say?
No, of course I can. But the biggest confusing thing for Bambi was that it had never been done in Melbourne before, where it in the States and in Europe it had been done significantly, which was the merging of, it starts as a bar and a restaurant and it turns into a nightclub. That's it. Starts as a bar, restaurant, and after 11 o'clock it turns into a nightclub. So that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
So,
and that's new for Australia.
It is.
Yep.
It is. But in America, in Europe, it's common practice, and that way you can have an older audience who will go to, who will go to your place, which we do. As I said, we're open to everybody, but when I call an older audience, with a 35-year-old audience, people, you find that the people who are a little bit older have more money to play with as well. And at the end of the day, the business is about making money. So you really need to be sure of what your product is to start with, and then how to communicate that to the people.
And how much did social media start to change that for you?
It was a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big thing. It was a big thing. And because it was a new product, again, it was a very tricky thing to communicate to the people. So there were certain elements that needed to just happen organically, and certain things that you needed to sort of program within the night. For example, if you come into Bambi, there's early in the night, the lights are a bit brighter, you've got the piano going, it's just background music, everybody, it's just a nice, classy restaurant. As the night's coming into its second turnover, cool, the lights just are dimmed a little bit, the next lot of people come in, then it goes a little bit later, the piano guy's finished, then the DJ begins. So it's a change. There's continual little points that trigger. And then the lights change again, the lights start flashing, the music's blaring. It's like, what happened? I've tricked you back in. You know what I mean? So you need to program it in. But back to your question of what are the key things, you really need to be across what your product is.
Okay.
And who your audience is. They're probably the two standout things. They're the two standout things: what your product is and who your audience is, and then really your team, your team structure, because you can't do everything. And still now, we're 18 months old. We're still fine tuning our team. And going from back when I had Eve for 10 years, I built this massive team, and it was a great team. And I had a couple of other businesses as well. Anyway, I sold everything up, had a couple of kids, sold everything up, had some time off. So I went from having this big team back to nothing, starting from scratch all over again. Right. And this might sound silly, but when you're running a business and you've got a million things to be taking care of, you're back to doing every single basic element of your business. So, all right, cool, under control, put someone on. So over time, once you can start delegating key items of your business, then that starts to help free up your time, which helps you focus on being on top of your business rather than being stuck in your business, as you hear people talk about.
Was that a difficult thing for you to do, to take a step back and say, I can do this, and then kind of say, no, it's all right, you can do this. You need to,
there's certain things that are easy to palm off.
Yeah,
but
the ones that you really don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Like simple things, filling out a form.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I can sit there spending the next half hour filling out these forms, or I can be, you talk about the opportunity costs, or I can be putting my mind into something which is going to be generating revenue for the business. So certain things, like simple things like that, that's an easy fix. But then there's other elements where you need to actually train people and spend significant time with people so they start to think the way you do. And that's what you want. You want them to think the way you do. So next time they receive an email from a supplier or someone you're doing business with, they don't even need to ask you for your thoughts, because they already know. They begin working autonomously because they've spent enough time with you and they know what you're thinking.
And as a boss, like, I've got a few. I wanted to go through, like, as an employee. I wonder if you would ever employ me, because I used to be a hospitality guru. I think you started off as a bartender or as a bussy?
Bussy.
As
a bussy.
I was similar. I started off as a glassy and did a little bit of table waiting here and there. And it was always difficult. We had to carry things out on this, like, big kind of metal plate. I think you do the same at Bambi,
I'm hopeless
right?
at it. I'm terrible at it.
I had to carry it out. And I always remember when you take one off to put it down, you lose the balance of it.
First night we opened, I spilt a cocktail down this girl's back. We were so understaffed. We were so understaffed when we first opened. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, I'm waiting, and there's no staff coming back to pick up these drinks. And fuck, I've gone. These people have been waiting for a while. That's all right. I'll do it. Leave it to me.
You just got to pick them up.
Mate, I've walked out with the tray, and I can still picture it. I've grabbed one of those passion fruit martinis, that thick luggy. So I've gone like that, and I've gone, oh yeah, that's for you. And as I've done that, Oh, the entire tray spilt right down the poor girl's back.
No.
Oh my! Opening weekend. I'm going. Oh, what a good start. Good to
I
be
did
back.
a very similar thing. You were actually sporting the white chinos today,
Yep.
and it was a very similar thing. We had a thing called a shakerama at this place, and it was kind of like a chocolate milkshake with like Kahlua and vodka and stuff in it.
Nice.
And I took off the beer, and then the shakerama has gone all over the white chinos in Noosa.
Oh, no.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, what a look.
Yep.
Yeah,
you won't be coming back to Miss Moneypenny
Yeah.
anymore. You're done
I Miss
for the day.
Moneypenny. That's
That's right.
working?
Yeah, that's where I started as a waiter, as a bartender.
Oh, mate, you're a
Fit
natural.
in very nice there. It was good, but like I said, I was better kind of behind the bar.
Yep.
I was good at like waiting, conversing with people.
Mate, you would have been great at it.
Fine, but just
you would have been
carrying
great.
out drinks. was
Oh,
not
mate,
my
Saturday. Oh, mate, you're not
strong
alone there. But no, you'd be great at it. Everything's about personality and being able to converse with people.
And it was something I enjoyed, but yeah, I did struggle a little bit with dropping drinks. But that's all right.
What a debacle.
As a boss, how do you find when you have to discipline someone?
Yep.
Do you kind of go, there's all these different approaches that we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you kind of go with give them a bit of a kick up the arse and shout at them, or are you kind of more balancing that with the kind of person that they are?
I think that everybody's different.
Right.
Like in terms of, again, when you're playing football, you'd find that some people would respond better to putting your arm around them and really telling them and, really nurturing them, right? And I prefer to nurture people. I don't believe in yelling at people full stop. I reckon...
Don't get much out of it.
I don't think you get much out of it. I don't know anybody who enjoys it. But I think sometimes it gets to a point where it's like, you've spoken about it so many times. Then it gets to a point where it's like, for God's sake, how many more times do you have to be told? But overall, I'm not a yeller. No, I don't believe you get the best out of people going about things that way. I think if you can employ people who are good people, who want to learn, who want to buy into the concept of what you're trying to push, then they will take on board what you've told them. Everybody's going to make mistakes. They'll continue to make mistakes. I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes.
Right.
So that's life. But if they're continual key fundamental basics that they continue to stuff up, then you need to, it needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not a yeller. I don't think that you get a lot out of it. But don't get me wrong, of course, there's been a time where I've yelled. Of course. But if you do yell, again, there's nothing. You can never be. I don't want to say yell. It's more of a come on. It's
louder
more of
tone.
But I believe that you need to stick to the points.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people get into an argument, even outside of work. People will have an argument, and they go off tangent. What is the main point of the argument? Do you know what I mean? Like stick to resolve the argument. Don't go off on the tangent.
I know.
That's irrelevant to what the argument is about,
other
guys.
things involved.
Yeah,
let's focus on the point at hand.
this. You know what I mean? So if you do, you are having words with your staff, it needs to be about the issue and resolve that issue.
I agree. It's I was going through a little bit of research about when Bambi started.
Yep.
And I'll read a headline out for you if that's all right.
Yep.
Glamorous couple Nick and Rosalia Russian. I've read that right, haven't I?
Rosalia,
Rosalia Russian.
Rosalia as well.
Rosalia Russian.
Yep.
Claim their trendy bar is being targeted by scathing one-star reviews as they launch legal action against TikTok users.
Yes.
What was the go with that? So people were giving you one-star reviews on Google reviews.
Yeah, so what happened is there was a particular person who went online and gave us a one-star review. And don't get me wrong,
you're entitled to your opinion.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Some people love you, some people hate you, some people are, whatever, right? From our understanding, the person had never even been to the venue before and had gone out of her way to absolutely give us the worst possible baking of all time on Google. Anyway, someone within the office has responded to that.
Something nice, I'm sure.
That review, and it wasn't it was basically, well, you've gone to the effort of being this rude. Well, here you go. Here's the response. And off the back of that, this person has then gone onto TikTok and copied and pasted it on a TikTok. And it's gone viral, right?
No.
It's gone viral.
Any
right?
publicity is good
It's
publicity.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
Not really.
So it's gone viral. So off the back of this person doing this post, it's gone absolutely viral. And off the back of that, overnight, we're getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of one-star reviews. So she's told her followers, get on this bloke. Not get this bloke, get on this
bloke.
Get on this van. So they just started. So overnight, we were just bombarded with ones, right? People had never been there before, going out of their way to completely defame you and to, affect your business, which...
And it does, because people do look at Google reviews. Like
they do. They do. And with our following, we've had the same following for years. So we're kind of a niche market. But, if somebody else is looking, it's like, who isn't part of that, your usual following, they might look and go, do you know what? No, we won't give. I've read a couple. You know what I mean? I've read a couple of bad reviews. No, we'll go somewhere else. It's actually not on that somebody can get online, absolutely bag the hell out of you, not even been to your venue,
or not. The issue that we obviously deal with it the same when I say we. I mean, other influencers,
social media. You get people shit can you and send messages to you and threats to you and all the rest of it, and then there's no recourse for them. So.
Absolutely none. And it's like, this is your business at the end of the day, like it is mine.
Yeah.
I've got programs, I've got merch, I've got things I've got to sell to put a roof over my head, and
that's it, to put a roof over your head.
Yeah, exactly. Put food on the table, and they take that away, in a defamatory fashion, really. And it feels like there should be some, I don't know.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
There needs to be, because can you imagine if there was a platform where you just went out of your way to bag that person as an employee, and they're a 1-star, they're absolute
terrible
shit. They're firstly, you would never do that to somebody, but that then impedes them on making a living.
Right? It's a massive effect.
Yeah. So people who are running a business to keep a roof over their head, or their families, or whatever. So, I think something needs to be, addressed or looked at,
Yeah, it's a really difficult thing, and dealing with that sort of social media or internet kind of hate can take a massive toll on some people. I know that when you ran for Lord Mayor, you had some, I guess, things that you were looking at in terms of mental health.
Yep.
Was that something that took a bit of a toll on you, the mental health sort of side, when people are coming at you and coming at your business, and you're kind of having to stress and deal with that?
Look, I'm pretty thick-skinned. I'm pretty thick-skinned just from over the years of a game. When
you
talk about, no, you do. Like serious. Like from when you talk about your life lessons from sport, being dragged off the ground, you've been abused by your coach, you've been dropped, you've been right. Like that's all. My dad always used to say to me as a kid, it's all character building. It's all character building. So certain things occur where you get put on your ass and you, all right, dust yourself off, next. Or when modelling, you're going for a casting, no, mate, too short, no, mate, you're too bald. Yeah, right?
Too good looking.
Just ugly, right? So, but these are all things that, they may sound silly, but are, that all continue to add to your, to your character. You go for a job interview, you lose, you don't get the job, So I'm pretty thick-skinned sort of a person. But absolutely, it was an extremely stressful, experience when you've got people throwing shit at you or,
just trying to drag you down. It is difficult. And wrapping it up, getting towards the end, I want to touch on kind of healthy relationships. A lot of people do struggle, especially as a young male, to find, with all the social media and that sort of stuff going on, everyone's very available. Yep. Like you can message anyone in the world that you want. And it can be pretty difficult to have a healthy relationship these days. What are some of the pillars that have helped you and Rosalia.
Yes, go right.
Just continue on your merry way.
I think it all comes down to respect. Everything comes down to respect, doesn't it? That's the number one thing. If you respect each other, you're always going to do the right thing by each other.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we've been together for 16 years. During that time, I've worked in clubs and whatnot, and spoken to different guys and different girls and all the rest of it. And my wife's always been very understanding that
that's your job.
That's it. And with her work as well, she works with other guys and girls and everything, and that's her job. And we both respect each other enormously, and I love her enormously. And you just do you just show respect to each other, and everything else should fall into place.
Yeah, and then the trust comes after that.
That's it. That's it. So
interesting. I love a bit of relationship talk. There's
something for you to take
people
on
love it. They do, and I think that people find great respect in people that do have healthy relationships. Like, I'm very fortunate. Both my parents are married, and they've kind of raised me to be the person that I am, and I'm really grateful for that. But a lot of people do struggle.
Yep.
So just trying to give people any type of advice on that is always the way that I try and take a little bit of the podcast if I can.
No, mate, I'm the same. I'm very lucky from my parents are still together after 54 years, and they drive each other mad still after 54 years, but that's part of a relationship, isn't it? Like, I don't think you can ever think that it's all smooth sailing the whole way through. You're going to have the odd occasion where you have an argument or something. That's part of life. It's natural to have an argument, but providing you're sticking to the points again, and it's nothing that's fundamentally wrong. It might be me wiping down the sink with her favourite, washing my shoes with her favourite flannel that she was about.
Oh no! It's taking a keep cup for the day. What have you done?
Yeah.
I didn't know, darling.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But outside of that, we're both very respectful of each other, of each other's work, and always of each other.
Beautiful.
Maybe a boring answer, but
no, it's very good. I think just respect and trust is just the two things you go with. There, we've got 3 Q&As from the people, 15-second answers, nothing crazy, rapid fire.
All right.
You ready?
There we go.
Who helped you out the most with the start of your business?
I'm going to think about this for 15 seconds before I answer. I'm sorry. Who helped me out the most with the start of my business? Gee, it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
You don't have to choose one.
I always look at my parents as the biggest support for me, but my parents weren't involved in hospitality, so I pretty much learnt it myself. But probably my dad, when I think about it, like he put me in touch with a good accountant, and taught me how to really deal with, both mum and dad deal with people in life. Like you said before, you're lucky you're good parents, same with me. And you're learning so much subconsciously, just seeing how they deal with people on a day-to-day life. Like, they're not sitting there telling you how to do something, but you sitting there watching them, how they interact with people is the number one thing. But yeah, does that, I don't know if that really answers the question.
It's a good answer. I think that, it could have been one person at the start, or it could have been a group of people or a group of role models that you might have had. So that's perfect. And I'd be the exact same. It'd be my dad. Without him, he's an entrepreneur as well, and a lot of things that he's done, I've kind of tried to replicate. A lot of the connections that he has, I've been able to use as well. So I'm very grateful for that.
But in terms of actually starting the business, I always did it all myself.
Yes.
So
which is what you got to have. You've got to have a mixture of your own drive, your own ambition, and then you've got to have the right people around you, right? And that's why you got to do it.
Yeah.
What was life like straight after the 6 months after kind of stopping playing footy? It was a bit confusing for you. Like, what?
It's a confusing time for everybody, isn't it? Yeah, you're trying to. I stopped watching football, I reckon, for 5 years. I didn't watch the AFL at all. Didn't watch it. I saw some players who who were playing getting senior games, and you probably do the same, who you used to look at and used to play against and run rings around them, right?
Well, you do.
Well, you do.
Yeah.
You do, right?
Yeah.
You do. And not saying that I was the best footballer ever at all, but you'd see some people and all of a sudden they're out there playing, why are they playing and I'm not? Like, this is the things that go through your head. So that's the toughest thing. So I just stopped watching football altogether. Yeah, I just completely pulled myself away from it. And then I didn't start following footy again until 10 years, probably 10 years later.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Your son plays footy?
He's 6. He's doing Auskick.
Good. That's a start.
Yeah.
That's where we all start.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a tough phase for everybody. Again, I'm talking here like I was an AFL superstar, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't. But there's a million people like me or you who have gone through the system and have gone on, and some who haven't gone on. And there's plenty of people out there who could have been stars. I reckon if you go to any local football club, there's always someone there who could be playing AFL right now.
Yeah.
But they just need that opportunity. I just stopped completely watching it for years. That's actually what I did.
I like to finish off my podcast with 3 successful habits from every single one of my guests, because I think that they can all just give the people out there some habits that they can employ into their life straight today or tomorrow morning that will help them. For me, something I love to do is just wake up early in the morning, 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. every single day, have that consistent wake up time, get my 8 hours sleep. That is probably one of my biggest and most successful habits. What about for yourself?
You took the words out of my mouth. Getting up, same time each day, you're up. Doesn't matter what time you get to bed, you're up. So for me, I like to get up early. I do late nights as well, but I still wake up early. So that's one key thing. Structure, just your overall structure, is things are set in stone. So again, it makes you organised.
You have to actually go and do it as well.
Exactly. You're organised. So, for example, Mondays, I have half a day off. Okay, that's my half a day off for the week. And then by midday, I'm sitting there and I am mapping out all of the different departments of the business and businesses of what needs to be done and who needs to do what and what needs to be achieved this coming week. On the Tuesday, I have meetings in back-to-back meetings with a different department at different times, but it's always just set in stone. It's structured because if it's not structured, it's so easy to not meet that week and then it pushes out to another week, and then you're always
you just lose
momentum and you waste time trying to find a time to meet versus, all right, mate, every week, if you go to my diary, it's a recurring meeting every week, same time. So if somebody else calls me and says, hey, can you meet at this time? No, sorry, I've got that. It's locked in. Yep. So waking up, same time, regimentation with overall structure and organisation. They're the 2 key things. And the third thing... What's the third thing?
I reckon I could give it to you.
I was just going to say, just work harder than anyone else. Just don't be afraid to work harder than anyone else.
I was going to say, you like to keep your fitness up as well.
Fitness, yeah. Well, sorry, that sort of goes with the early morning
that
start.
Goes with the early morning.
So get up early and hit the gym. Sorry, that's one category.
That's one category.
I didn't
That's all right. That's all right.
Get up early and go to the gym every morning. So that's exactly it. Up early, gym, cool. School, drop off, cool. Work,
beautiful.
Done. Right. So
and that comes with that structure, then, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's structure. Yeah. It's structure, and again, that again links back to you playing sport when you were younger. You're used to being healthy and fit and well, and if you're fit and well, your brain's working so much more efficiently. I find if I have a week or a number of days off from running or gymming or whatever it might be, just so lethargic and the brain doesn't operate. So so get up early with the gym, good structure, and work harder than anyone else.
It's absolutely brilliant, mate. We'll almost wrap it up, guys. Make sure if you haven't already checked out the new supplement range, then you definitely should. We've got the creatine, we've got the orange flavored pre-workout, then we've got the 100% grass-fed whey protein isolate in chocolate and vanilla flavor, the most bioavailable protein for your muscles. Make sure you get it in straight after a workout, or you can do it first thing in the morning, totally up to you. I like to do the pre-workout first thing in the morning and then have a bit of protein after my workout. You can also check out all of our training programs and all of our merch on the website as well. And then, of course, the Whoop bands. They are my favorite things to wear. I wear them every day to track my sleep, my daily strain. You should actually check them out. I think that you would really like them.
Very cool.
They just, they're not like a watch. They're kind of just like an app.
Yeah.
So you just go onto your phone to look at just
cool.
tracks everything.
Very cool.
It's unbelievable. It tells you like when I should be going to sleep every night.
Yep.
When I should be waking up, how recovered I am to tell me.
I've never seen them. They're really cool. Yeah.
Me and LeBron. Just the two. Just the two.
Greats.
The two greats. Guys, if you want to pick up any of that stuff, you can use the code podcast to get 20% off. Mr. Nick Russian, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the potty today, mate. It's been so insightful, and I think everyone will get plenty out of it. So thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you, great man.
Love you, brother. Appreciate it.